Hi everyone, it's Dash Dave here, and I'm back for another crafty video. Get me? I know, but can't keep me away. So, today we're going to make something with a file folder, because why not? I've got some. A million. If you can't find file folders, they're all here. We're going to make this. This is a little kind of pull-out drawer thing. And it opens up like this. So it's called an Easel box card. I used to make them a long time ago for when I used to do box making classes and things. And I thought we could make it look a bit utilitarian. Might change the style of the opening, the aperture thing. Tried to find my measurements for it. And I think these are the measurements. I mean, like, it made this, so what can we say? So anyway, first of all, we're going to need 2 pieces of cardboard. Well, we're going to need 3 in total, but we'll do what we can do. Right, let's get this off. Should have left it that way around, Dave, because it's better to cut like that. So I'm just going to cut this down. Hang on a minute. Let's get the big guns in. Get that big fella in. Okay, so use this one. My 60 centimetre, or is it? No. Yeah, 60 centimetres or 24 inches ruler. You know what they say, if you want to have one, have a big one. So I'm going to cut this down because all I want is the card. I don't want the mechanism-y things. And I want the card off this side as well. I'll just cut this down and then we'll take all the gubbins out of it. So it's a nice piece of old, you can tell how it's faded here. It was got rid of for obvious reasons. It's been eaten. Well, it's not eaten, but it's been cannibalised for something. So we'll just open all of this out so I can get the gubbins of the cardboard. Right, and cut this down. Right, I don't think I'm going to need the big fella now. Oh dear, if I put it up here, you hear a crash. Oh, that's not going to be safe. I'll put it on there. You hear a crash. Make sure you dash of Dave. So make sure. Yeah. Anyway, we're not here for the comedy, Dave. Which is a good job, really, because my comedy is terrible. So, nearly cut my wire off. Okay, so let's just cut all of this down, like I say, and then we can get going. So what we're going to need is 3 sheets of 2 sheets of cardboard, really, and a little bit of cardboard. So what we're going to need is a piece of 7 by 7. So if this is 7-ish enough. Let's cut it out of this one. I know this is definitely going to be 7. Yeah, so 7 by 7 inches we're talking. Where's me? So, money's a bit tight at the moment, so I can't afford to buy a chair. So I'm sorry that the squeaking is annoying. But I'm going to cut it a bit bigger than 7 by 7 because I want to cut this edge off because it's not straight. But yeah, I'm going to buy myself a new chair. However, I'm struggling for money at the moment. Finances are a bit dire straits. After having had Brian to help out because it's homelessness, my money's kind of supporting me and him at the moment, like my wages. So I'm buying him food and stuff like that, and helping him out with money when he needs it. I've also had to have some work done on my car because my brakes had seized. My finances are completely depleted. I've had to put some stuff on my credit card, which I do not like doing. That's 7 by 7, and we want a piece that's 3 by 8.5. I might just use that. If that's big enough. No, that's not going to be big enough, Dave, is it? Oh, it is. It is big enough. It's fine. So we'll use this. I don't mind the additional stuff. It'll either go on the inside, or if I like it, it'll go on the outside. Or even I could just use this bit, couldn't I? What am I saying? What? 3 by 8.5. Easily confused. Oh, that'll just cut off now, won't it? Yeah, it will. 3 by 8.5. Yeah. So it's just all a bit tight. So the buying of a new chair is not high on the agenda at the moment. Making it to the end of the month with some money is low. So yeah. So if it's annoying, I know it's getting more squeaky than it ever was. Try not to move around quite so much on it. I'm going to put those in. Well, I'll put them there, and then I'll put them in the bin later. And then we're going to need a piece that measures 1 by 4. So this is definitely going to be big enough. So stop putting your things away. So we're going to go 1 by 4. So also I might have to pause between takes. The reason for that is I'm getting a bit of a head cold again. So the ear infection's gone away, and now I'm left with a head cold. So is that the one I've just cut? Which one's full? That's not full. That is right. Confused, who will be? Right. Okay. So then, what we're going to do is we're going to take our 7 by 7, and we are going to score it at 1 and score it 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and then turn it 90, and then do 1 and 2, and then we're going to turn it around again, and we're going to go 1 and 2 to get the thing. There's a theme here, and then we're turning it around, and guess what? We're doing 1 and 2. That's it. So that's our base. So that's our draw. Sorry, our draw. That's this bit. And then this is going to be our wrap, and we're going to score this at. So this is when I have to take this away because it has to be on. I'm going to use this to score on. Now I don't normally use this to score on, and I do normally. Well, I used to have a scoring tool for it, but I don't anymore. And I'm just going to have to bring my measurements a bit closer because my eyesight is terrible. So this one we're going to score at 1 and 11/16. So this is the reason why this is here. So 11/16 is not easy to do. Well, it's not easy to do on those other scoreboards because they only incrementally go up by 1/8 of an inch. We need a 1/16 of an inch. So we're going to score this, like I say, at 1 and 11/16. Now I have to remember where 11/16 is. I think it's just over the halfway mark, or over the 3/4 mark. I can't remember. Anyway, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so it's just under the 3/4 mark. It's the 1 notch under the 3/4 mark. So 1 and. Oh dear, this is not good, is it? There, that's where I want. That's there. Okay, so, except for, I have a feeling that that is not straight. You just put that on there and just say, it isn't straight, is it? That's definitely not straight. And that's supposed to be 8.5. Oh well. We're just going to have to deal with it. So, where did I say it was? It was 1/16 under there. So we're going to do a score line there, and then we're also going to do one at 2 3/4. So move it across to 2 3/4. Hang on a minute, which one's that's 2 3/4? Oh, let's cut a piece of card that's actually square, shall we? Let's do that first, Dave, because otherwise we're going to get in a pickle. So let's make sure this is a square edge. It's not. Why is it not square? Oh, you know, because I cut it. So we want it to be. That's a square edge because that was the end of the folder. It needs to be a square edge, otherwise it's not going to go right. So we're going to get rid of that because that's going to confuse the living daylights out of me. And we're going to cut that end off, and then this. Oh, we're going to check this end. We're going to cut a tiny bit off this end, so then we know that end is straight as well. Yeah, put that out there. And I'm going to make that 8.5, like we intended to in the first place. 8.5. Right, now again. Setbacks. You know, don't get rid of that, Dave, because we've just decided we'd just remember we're using this. Anyway, so what that score was 1 and 11/16, which was there, wasn't it? Yeah. 11/16, 1 and 11/16. So we're going to put a line there, and then we're going to do 2 and 3/4. 2 and 3/4. 2 and 3/4 is there. And then we're going to turn it round. We're going to do the other end in the same way. So that's 1 and 11/16. See, it's so much easier when you use centimetres. Can't even work out how you write 1 and 11/16. So I've converted this from the centimetres to the inches. It's a slightly different size, but but because of the conversion, it's a bit confusing because I've had to use smaller fractions of an inch than I would normally use. And then we're going to do that one, okay? And then we're going to score out 4. This is our little piece, and that's the bit that's the mechanism, this foldy bit here. And that is going to be scored at 1. Scored at 1. And then scored at 2 and 5/16, because we like to make it a little bit challenging. 5/16, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1/4. 1/16 over a quarter. 5/16, and then 2 and 3/4. 2 and 3/4 is fat finger heaven. Getting that up there is there. That's not right. I'm going to have to check my measurements. I'll be back. What's my phone? Wow. because you're an idiot, Dave. So, I've checked my measurements. So, I've written it down wrong, completely wrong. So, the other measurement is, so we've got, the first measurement is right, is 1. Then it's 2 5/16, and then the final measurement is 5/8. 5/8 is what? I can't remember what 5/8 is. It's the problem for doing it. Stop converting things to. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1 of the 80 bits over the halfway. Good luck with that. 1 of the 80 bits over the no, don't cut it off, Dave. That would be anyway. So the measurements for this, 80 bits is just like how my brain works. So the measurements for this, again, are 1, then 2 5/16, which is this next mark here, and then that's 3 5/8, that next line. Oh dear. Oh well, I'll make myself laugh, that's all that matters. So anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a box. So first of all, we're going to cut up all of these, not all of them. So from this side, pick a side. Remember, it's 7x7. Doesn't matter which side it'll be. They're all the same. So, but just pick one for now, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut up. So you're staying inside the score line because we're keeping this panel. So any panels that we're keeping, we want to stay inside the line of. So this panel here is being kept on this side as well. So it's inside the line, so that way then you're cutting off the hump, and then you cut up to there, and then we're doing the same on these, and it doesn't matter about these because these are tabs. So we're going to cut up to there, so you can cut down the middle of that line, that's fine, and up to there. And then we're going to turn it round. We're going to do, so we're now on the opposite side, so whichever side you picked, we're doing the opposite side. So remember, we're keeping this panel. So we're cutting inside the humped ridge, and there. Okay, and then we're cutting on that line there because that's going to be a tab, and we're cutting on that line there because that's going to be a tab. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut some of these off. The outer one we're cutting off completely, but we're keeping this panel. So we've turned it 90 degrees now. So we're going to cut that ridge off. Okay, and we're going to cut that ridge off as well. Okay, and then this is still in that same orientation. We're going to cut this very end square off, and this very end square off. So then you're going to turn it round, you can do the other side. So when you turn it round, what you should have is like the Olympic podium. Okay, so you've got bronze, silver and gold. Okay, and we're going to do exactly the same again on this side. So the outer one you cut all the way off. So that way I'm going to do that. So you could do that with a straight line as well, Dave. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So you always do a mirror image. Okay, then we're going to cut the very external one off on this one, the last one, to make it into the silver podium. like that. Okay, so that's it. So that's the shape we've got now. These are extra bits. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to turn these into panels. Into tabs. So we're going to turn it back to the orientation where we cut up from. Okay, and we're going to make this into a tab. So in order to make it into a tab, we're just going to take a little wedge out of there, and then we're going to come to this side and we're just going to take a little wedge out of there. Okay, and we're going to do the same again. A little wedge, an equal wedge, and an equal wedge. Okay, I'm going to turn it around. We're going to do the same again on this side. Equal wedge, equal wedge. Sorry, it's just taking the mickey out of the way some people say little. Usually kids that say ickle. Down there. Get out of it. Get out of here. Of my land. Anyway, this piece. Oh, that's not very good, is it? No. There we go. To there. Okay, so now we've got our, fundamentally, we've got our box shape, right? Our boxy bits. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to create the shape. So what we're going to do is going to put in all of these score lines. Just do all the outer orientation ones first. I'm not doing it with the scoring tool just yet. You'll see why in a second. And then we're going to fold these tabs in because they're going to go inside. Okay, and this time I think what we might have, so these two panels here that don't have tabs on, these are the ones that sit here, front and back, or back and front, whichever you prefer. Okay, and then the ones with the tabs on are the side ones. It just because it gives it it makes it stronger pulling. So when you're pulling this, you're pulling against this kind of folded position, whereas if you're pulling this way, there's more chance you're going to pull that out of its housing. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to create some kind of drawer. So some way to pull the drawer out. Now there are a couple of things, a couple of options. At this point we could fold this over and double it like this and make a hole with a punch, but I know for a fact that this is much thicker cardboard than this, and this is likely to break if I try and do that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make it into like a little string drawer. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my crocodile. Not, you can have a crocodile if you prefer, but I'm having a crocodile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold. This is going to be my front, I've decided. So this is going to fold over like this, and I'm going to have these bits out of the way so you can kind of see what I'm doing. This is going to be my front, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a hole in, which is the one that I want. That's the big hole. Don't want the big hole, I want the ickle hole. And I'm going to put a hole kind of halfway down. That's more than half. So we're going to have it kind of the same kind of distance from one end as t'other. Okay, and this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, let's just tell you the other things first. So I'm going to make this kind of a utilitarian style with string. If you wanted to use ribbon, let me just talk about the ribbon side of things first before I go on to anything else. Just put that there. Right, we have some ribbon. It's not ideal. It's not the right colour, but it it's perfect for what I want to do. Okay, so what you would do is you would glue this panel here and this panel here, and the only reason why you glue both is because you want to encapsulate the ribbon in it, and then you'd put the ribbon, make sure it didn't turn round and all of that, put the ribbon round here, and you just have them so they kind of just meet in the middle like this, and then you'd encapsulate that. Okay, and that's what would be your handle, but you wouldn't do that until you'd done all your tabs first, because your tabs are going to go into here. Okay, so you don't want to glue this bit down and then have nowhere for your tabs. So what you do is you put that bit in first, glue it, get your tab, get that glued in and hold it. Yeah, then you'd bring this side round, get that piece in, stick it into the middle, glue your tab, get that piece in and hold it. Okay, and then, only then, would you glue the rest of the inside and this panel and fold it over. Okay, but I'm doing it a different way because I'm doing it a bit more utilitarian look to it. So I'm going to do some stringy things. So I'm going to go with that there, and I want kind of this similar distance from the side. Maybe there. Okay, so they are going to be my holes for my thing, my string. So I'll get some string. Do I want that string, or do I want some other string? Get some other string now. Here's some grubby string. We like grubby string because we think, well, I certainly think it looks more like it's been around a while. So I'll come to that in a second, because I don't need to put that in just yet. The thing that I'm going to have a problem with is my tabs, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a second. So I'll put them in here, put these, and I know that these two line up because we folded it together first. Okay, I'm going to fold in my tab either side, and now we're going to glue them. So I'm going to glue this tab first. I'm going to put glue all around it, all the way to the edge, and a squiggle in the middle. And then we're going to fold that up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to shape this corner so that this line here meets this corner here. Okay, we don't want it to be you don't want it to be bent in like this, you don't want it to be out like this, you want it to line up absolutely perfectly, and you're going to pinch it to get it to glue. So you don't have to do it on screen, so you can do it the way that works for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bone folder it, just to push it down to make sure it gets contact. Not eye to eye contact, but cardboard to cardboard contact. Cardboard to cardboard contact. Yeah, that's the reason they didn't sing that song. Too many syllables. So, and again, we're going to fold that up, fold it in, and then we're going to make sure it makes contact, pinch it in place. Yeah, and there we go. That's that bit. So now we're going to do the other side. This side doesn't need any handles on it, so we're just going to make the box. We're going to have those both in at the same time. We're just going to glue it. Glue this one. Remember, this is the back of the box. We don't need it. We don't need handles on it. Fold those down. Line it up and pinch this side. Whilst you're pinching that side, if you've got an octopus, to hand, then they can help you with this. If not, then you just have to be in 12 places at once. And if anybody's got kids, then you're probably used to that. So eyes in the back of your head and being able to be in 12 places at once is a very useful tool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, it's going to be a bit harder for me to show you, so let's just fold these out to make it easier. Now, you remember I said that we don't have holes here, because they don't go through through these bits. We could always do it like this way now, but I find it a bit fiddly because I can't always get this close enough to the edge that where I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little pokey tool, and I am not going to have my fingers behind it. I am telling you now, be very careful if you're doing this, because you don't want your fingers behind it when you poke through, because what you find is you have no give, and then it suddenly gives, and then you think, well, I'm sure I didn't use red cardboard, and it's because you're bleeding all over it. So make sure your fingers are out of the way, and just push it through. And give it a wiggle. There we go. Cool. So, let's get that out of the way. So, now we've got somewhere to put this in. Let's just pop that in there for a minute. Okay. So, hang on. I don't know what I'm popping that in there for, because we're not at that stage yet. So, what we've done is we're at this point now. Now what we need to do is we need to fold these pieces in. So, the best way to do it is the two pieces that don't have, they're not anchoring those flaps. Do those first. You just want to make sure it's covered in glue and fold that in. And bone folder it down just to make sure it makes full contact. And that's why really I don't bother with the bone folding to start with, because you want it to, they don't want them to be too, have bent backwards and forwards too many times and scored too many times, because you'll just weaken the fibers of the board. And then you're going to do that one. You fold that in, press it down, get your bone folder, make good contact. Press it all the way down. Okay, that's it. So then what we're going to do is going to do the back. And if you've got any of the ridges on this bit, so if you'd left any of the scoring ridges, you might want to cut those off now, because otherwise it will prevent you from doing this bit, which is where you're folding this bit over and encapsulating. Now you might find it resist a little, and that's because those sides were easy because they were just folding over onto themselves. These are folding over and locking in those flaps that you've just created. So when you're folding it over, it's folding over the thickness of not just this cardboard but these here. So depending on how thick the cardboard was that you used in the first place will dictate to you how easy or hard it will be. So I'm just going to make sure that gets a nice anchoring around those holes, because there's going to be a tug point on that. You fold that over, and again you just want to bone folder it in, make sure it all lines up nicely. You might have to remake those holes, they're not quite lined up now. That's fine, but we'll just remake those holes. But just leave it a little while. Don't try and do any stresses on it, so don't try and put string on it and tug on it just yet. You want all of that glue to dry nicely before you go down that route. Okay, so now I'm going to put my string in. Hopefully I can get it in that hole. try and use a blunt thing. So if I use a blunt pencil to push it through, I'm less likely to split the fibres than if I use a pokey tool. It says me gesturing with my eyes to where I'm talking about, but you can't even see my face. So you're going to poke it through there, and you might just be able to grab it from this side. If you've got more delicate fingers than I have, you might be able to do it better than me. Can't even get my fingers in the corner. Oh, there you go. That through there, and then we're going to bring this other piece in and put that in that side. Push that through there. In through there. Come on, pull it all through. There you go. Cool. So there we go. We've got like this little handle here. Okay. So in order to tie that off, I'm just going to cheat and tie it to itself rather than tying a knot inside. If you tie a knot inside, the knot needs to be significantly large to stop it popping through the hole. Okay. If you tie it to itself, you don't have to worry about that bit. So you don't want to tie it too tight because you want to be able to grab this piece here. Okay, but equally you don't want to tie it too loose because you don't want a big flappy handle. So tie it on itself, tie it against itself, and tie it the other way. And then your excess, I'm going to just snip off my excess, but then I'm also going to fray those bits because it makes it a little bit older. We want it to look oldish. So now we should have a little grabby handle here, which we do. Perfect. So not perfectly centre, I know, but now what we're going to do is we're going to make the wrap that goes around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all of those folds in first. Okay, and then what we want to do is your first fold over and your second fold over, and that'll be your how it lines up. So that's your square. So I've seen lots of people in the past try and wrap it to glue it, and then they're trying to push it down and it goes all baggy. Best thing to do is fold your first fold over from the right and your second fold over from the left, and the overlap is the bit where you're going to glue. So you're going to put a bit of glue down there. Sorry, I'll just open that up so you can see what I'm doing. So a bit of glue. Don't put too much glue because when you press it down you'll squeeze out and then you'll glue the two sides together. Like that. Fold that over. And then press it down. Like I say, if you think you've pressed too much, just make sure it opens up first. Sorry, if you think you've put too much glue on, make sure it opens up first before you press down anymore, otherwise you might end up gluing the two sides together. And then we're just going to bone folder all of that in. And then this is when we can do these. Okay, I'm going to flip it around the other way, bone folder those bits in. Okay, so that is now our wrap. It's going to go in there. So it sits in there nicely. But you know what I've done? I've put it together and not even made the easel bit. So now what we're going to do is just take it apart before it glues down completely. Right, before we do, it's going to be one of them days today. What I enjoy about my craft and my channel is I leave in the bits where I make mistakes, and you either like it or you don't. Now I think because we live in a world where everything is so edited, then leaving in mistakes just gives other people the courage to make some. So this is the bit where we need to make a hole in this. what the hole needs to be is a little bit wider than this. Okay, so the reason why it needs to be a little bit wider than this is because you don't want it to be exactly the same width, otherwise it'll really drag. If you, I don't know whether you can tell, but if you can see here, there's like a gap here and a gap here. So what I did is, I know that this is 1 inch wide because that's how wide we cut it. Well, in my life, anything's possible. It could be 1 inch and a bit. In fact, it is 1 inch and a bit. Why ever would I think that it would be 1 inch wide? I'm going to cut it down so that, look, you can tell that, Dave. You can tell how wonky that is, that cutting line. I do find, though, cutting smaller pieces on a on a cutter is really difficult, so because you don't really have much purchase to hold anything down. Same with when you're cutting like that. There you go, that is now 1 inch wide. Okay, so we've got this inch wide, so that means that the slot that we make has to be bigger than 1 inch. And we also have this tab at the end, which is, it should be anyway, just a little shy of 3/8 of an inch. So it should be a little shy of 3/8 of an inch. So we know that we need this border to be a little shy of 3/8 of an inch. Now it does get, so I would suggest you just go for 3/8 of an inch because it's easier. It does get really difficult when you're getting down to these minute sizes. If you have a die, a rectangle die that cuts slightly wider than this and leaves you with about whatever that is, 3/8 of an inch either side, then great. If you don't, then you're gonna have to do it my way. I did it my way. So going to put that on there. I'm going to mark the pen, except for I don't have a sharp pencil. Right, let's get one of these instead. That should give us a much more defined line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 3/8 of an inch away from the edge and put a mark on this side, and then go 3/8 of an inch on this side, put a mark. Remember, you're doing this on the inside anyway. I'm going to turn this round and do the same again on this side. 3/8 of an inch, mark it, 3/8 of an inch, mark it. Okay, so then join those two lines together. So you're putting a pencil line on this for now. You're not actually cutting it, so don't cut it, just put your pencil lines on. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think I should edit better and remove all my mistakes, or do you enjoy the fact that I keep it real, I'm happy to make mistakes, and I just keep going? Because I know that making mistakes usually is one of those things that makes people want to give up. They say to themselves, I can't, I'm just going to give up. I'm clearly not suited for this, I'm going to give up. So all I've done there is I've measured the middle of that. Now we know that that's 3 inches because it's a 3-inch box. So half of 3 inches is 1.5. I've just measured 1.5 either side, and I'm going to join those two together. Now mine might not be perfectly straight, and that's because I'm doing it on TV. Got my head hanging over the light and everything, and I can tell instantly that that line is not straight. Better. Okay, so what we need to do now is to cut just a fraction over ½ an inch either side of this line. So we know, so if we put that on the ½ inch line, what we want to do is we want to go 1/16 of an inch over from there. Now, I know this is a more technical box to do, and I know that some of you will say it's possibly too technical for you, but you know what I say? Tosh. I think you can do it. I think you've been watching me make boxes long enough to know what to do and how to get around it. I think you can make it. So don't listen to your inner voice. Your inner voice tells you lies. Your inner voice is there to try and protect you. The problem is it's usually very overprotective of you. If you never step outside of your comfort zone will never get bigger. I know I sound like I've swallowed one of those self-help manuals, but it's true. Okay, so I don't want you to be confused by this now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut along this line here, so I'm going to cut to where this cross hatch there, to this cross hatch, to this cross hatch, and to this cross hatch, and then the same this way and this way. Okay, in fact I'm going to do it now. So just going to cut on that line from that cross hatch down to here. Now if you've got, like I say, if you've got a die that you want to do this with, then you do it with a die. If you want to do it my way, then you can call yourself Frank Sinatra, because I did it my way. Or you can call yourself Dasher Dave. No, don't. That's my name. Get off. Hands off. So now I'm going to cut this one. So from this here down the way down to the cross hatch. And if you notice, I move the cardboard every time I do it. And the reason I move the cardboard is it needs to be in the best position for me to cut, not for the best position for you to see. Because when you're using a blade, you should always do it from your perspective. That's good blade safety. So there we go. That's that bit cut out. Now we just need to test our piece of card. Is it bigger? It is. It's a little bit bigger, which is what we wanted. What we want to see now is, does that sit on there? It does, which is what we wanted. So now we can stick it together, Dave. So like I say, fold it over from the left hand side on the first from the right hand side on the first crease, and from the left hand side on the second crease, or vice versa. You can fold it over the second one on the right hand side and the first on the left, whichever. So first right, second left, glue where they join. And we can glue it with confidence this time, knowing that we've actually glued it into the right place. And we've got all the bits that we need to do. We've made our hole, and it's all hunky-dory. I'm going to flip it that way and just press it down. That just makes sure that you've got it all nice and square. If it flips, if it's that way and then you flip it that way and it doesn't quite go, it's because it's just a little bit of out of skew. So it just gives you that time to just find out. So there we go. That's our outer now. So that's going to go in there, and it should fit in there nicely. It does. It'll fit like a glove actually, which is fine, but it still slides. Okay, if you're having any slidability difficulties, best thing to do is to use a bit of wax. So I've got this, which is used for when I wax my string for when I'm making a journal. So it's actually beeswax, and if you're struggling, little bit, usually on the top and bottom edge, either side of where it runs through that drawer. This is good for if your drawers at home are sticking. So if you've got If your drawers are sticking, then I'm not going there. So now if you want to pop that in there, you'll see what I mean. It'll just run. It'll just be a bit more smoother gliding. So it just slides better. So anyway, just a little tip. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, okay? And what we want to do is we want to take this out first. We're going to take our tab. And this first tab, we're just going to fold. And we're going to burnish that because that's going to be like a hinged joint. So you might want to just fold it one way, fold it back. Don't do too many times because you don't want to completely break all the fibres in it. But yeah, so I'm going to fold it like that. That first one is going to sit, and we're going to sit it in there. I'm going to glue it under this ledge, okay? This next one, we're going to glue the opposite direction. Sorry, we're going to bend in the opposite direction. So that's where our next fold is. That doesn't need to be folded back and forth. It's literally just going to bend in one direction every time, and it doesn't need to have as much flexibility as this one does. And then this next one is again going to bend over in the same direction as that other one. So the first one folds up and the second two fold down, okay? And that's going to glue to the back of your box. Now you don't want to do that now because you never get it in there. What you want to do is you want to pop this into here, and then we're going to put a bit of glue. We're going to be really confident and go, this is going to work. This is going to work first time because I believe in myself. I believe I can fly. Please, I haven't told you can fly, so don't try doing that. Okay, I'm just going to smoosh out that glue, and then I'm going to get it so I can see it, and get it kind of in the centre of that hole, if you can. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit out. And you just want to make sure that that first fold is clear of the ledge. It's not stopping it. It's not impeding it from folding. Okay. And you're going to just glue that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get this out of the way. I'm going to hook this out over the back so it's out of the way, and put your drawer in now. Put the drawer into there. Okay. And then that bit needs to then drop back in there. This bit is now a little bit more fiddly because you want to glue it to the back of the drawer. So we need to first of all push it out a little. I would suggest you go like a third of the way to maybe a half, just to be able to get your fingers in there. I'm going to put glue on the back of here, and that's going to glue to the back of this drawer. And again, you want to make sure you've got enough, but not too much. Then you're going to slide it into there, and you're just going to push it against that back bit. Now, if you've got long enough fingers, you can go in this way. If you don't have long enough fingers, just pull it open a little bit more. You just want to make sure that this fold here, this crease, lines up with the back of the drawer, because remember, it's the same depth as that drawer. It's an inch in depth. So I've got fat fingers. If you don't have fat fingers, you might be better at doing this. But if I can do it with fat fingers, you definitely can. If you don't have fat fingers. And all I'm doing is I'm just using my bone folder to just press it against it, but also putting my finger in here, pressing against the back of the box. Okay, so that's our little mechanism now on the top. You see how it protrudes slightly. Now this one also protrudes slightly, and it does mean that this bit sticks up. Now this bit sticks up a little, but that is fine. It does flatten down when you stack them, so if you put two on top of each other, if they've got something in, it'll stack fine. What you want it to do is you don't want it to be completely flat. Otherwise, if it's completely flat, when you pull it, the fold doesn't know which way it needs to bend, and it'll either buckle and get stuck, or it'll bend down and then tear, or it could bend up. So you want to leave it basically telling the fold which way you want it to fold when you pull on the drawer. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to make our little piece of card that sits on the front. So a piece of card measures 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inches. So that was the only other piece I didn't tell you about. So I'm hoping that a piece of this is going to be fine and adequate. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to cut it, because you know what I'm like. So we're going to go 2 1/4. I'm actually going to go a bit bigger than 2 1/4 because I want to make sure that this is square. I'll cut that bit first. Right, we know that line is now true. So true. That line is also true because I can tell on here it's true. If this is true, this is true. So we're going to cut this one off. So this is 2 1/4. And then we're going to push that off, and then we're going to just turn that round and make sure that this then is also true. 2 1/4. There we go. I'm going to cut that off, and that's that. So that is going to go on here. Now before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink it a bit and make it look a bit old, just like the box. I'm going to make that look a little bit older. So today's video is sponsored by if it doesn't hit you, it won't hurt you. It's nearly hit me, but it didn't hit me, so it didn't hurt me. So I do love this place. I've just got so much you should see how precarious that is. I'm a bit scared by it, to be fair. Let's move it out of the way. Let's get some distressing going on this. It tickles me how untidy I can be. I don't know whether I'm the only person that's untidy. Right, I'm going to make this quite dark around the edges. It's it's a good thing to remember. If it doesn't hit you, it won't hurt you. So well, there's loads of times when I've gone ow and it hasn't actually done anything. I'm preempting an ow that has never come. So look, you don't know anybody's a true crafter until somebody's had a crafter lunch. Right, I'm just going to soften the colour of this so that it's not quite so. It looks a little bit military, a little bit, new. So I'm going to make it look a bit softer now. I think that might be a big mistake if I put that all over it. So let's get some antique linen. Get some of that going on this. And just soften it down a bit. Also gives it a little bit of a patchy kind of existence. I like to make my boxes look a little bit older. Okay, so I'm going to put a label on it, so I'm not going to go to town too much on that. What I will do is I'll just make sure that those edges have got some, because the label I've got for it is smaller. So the label I've made for it is 2 by 2. So this is 2. Remember, this is 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So I've made it 2 by 2, which should give me a 16th, no, 2/16 of an inch. I don't know, half of a quarter edge all the way around. That an 80th of an inch, 8th, whatever, 16th of an inch. Oh, Dave, shut up. Don't know what your measurements are. I'm sorry. I just use them. I don't know how to how to go about saying them. Right, now I'm going to put a little bit of this on. Just want to take some of it off before I go straight in, because I want to. Otherwise, you end up with a big brush shape where you've gone in with it. I want it to feel like this Margot would be proud of it in her office. So it's going to have a feel of it's been around a while. A bit like me. And say nothing. I can hear you. I can hear your thoughts. been around a while. Cheeky. So I'm going to get all of those nice edges all nicely done. Now I will say I've cheated a little. I have already made my my label to go on it. You know why I made it off camera? Because I struggle so hard to spell and do things like when it comes to writing or typing, and I had to come up with a way of doing it. So I'll show you the label in a minute, because I'm kind of feeling like you feel like you're being led up the garden path to, I don't even know what he's talking about. You'll see in a minute. I've tried to make it look like a proper sign, but as you know, I can't write. I hate my writing. I've been bullied all through life about my writing. I really do not like it. So I try not to do any kind of writing on camera, because that is kind of just destined to fail. So I'm just going to do this bottom. I'm going to make the bottom a little bit darker, because it tends to be. I picked up all the dirt off those desks. And if you think desks don't get dirty, ugh, look at the bottom of the mouse. You know, when your mouse stops wiggling around so much, you pick it up and the little feet that it's got, the little gliding feet, are absolutely covered in gunk. They get dirty. Offices are gross. So there we go. So we've got a dirty bottom. It's been said. Where's my... Oh, I've put the wrong lid on the wrong thing. I'm going to take my antique lid and I'm going to give it a smoosh on the bottom as well. I'm going to have a bit of a smoosh around the sides. It's not a very wet one, so it's just giving it a patina kind of smoosh to it. I'm doing that with the drawer in because it's easier. It just gives it a nice softness to it. I'm going to do that a little bit around the edge of this. I don't want to get the mechanism too inky though, because once you get it kind of wet, it's really hard for the fibres to dry out and not be completely like saggy all the time. You just need to be careful. Don't try not to ink the hinges too much. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of that and just soften it up on the top. Don't know whether I made myself very clear on that. What I was trying to explain is these creases, you don't want to get ink on them. Well, you don't want to get too much ink on them anyway. So let's just pop that in there. So I'm going to squeeze the box so that the top of the box just gives some resist to when I'm just putting this on. Like I say, when you put the thing on, you won't see it as much. You won't see all of this patina. So I'm just going to smoosh a little. Bit of a smoosh, and then I'm going to take this. And you can't pull it out. Remember, it doesn't come out, so don't try and pull it out, because it won't. You'll break it. Now you could make this into a nice little gift box. I don't know what goes in it. How big are these? Oh look, there you go, perfect. You could get, if you were giving somebody some alcohol inks for Christmas. How fab is that? How many did you get in there if you do that? It's just a bit of fluke that. Didn't know how big that was. Oh wow, there you go. Isn't that perfect for 3 little alcohol inks? Wow, that's cool. Well, I think it is anyway. So yeah. So if you're giving somebody alcohol inks for Christmas, then maybe this is what you're gonna give it to them in. Not saying you have to. And if you do, tag me and let me know if you're going to tag me. That's my tag. Oh, see, it's all going to go all collapsy, smashy, kaplunk. So I'm going to put some of that on the front of here. Usually tend to get quite yellowed on the front where somebody's been grabbing at something. Again, this is how my brain works. My brain's like over processing it. Right, this is how it would look because this is what happens, and the oil's in your skin. And okay, so I don't mind it being quite clean around the rest of it. I'm going to give it a little bit of a colour. Remember, it doesn't come all the way out. Bit of a colour, just so it's not looking too new. Like it's been slid in and out a few times. Okay, so then we're going to pop that back in there, and then we're just going to do the back of there. I'm just going to ink around that back edge. There we go. So, no, that's not the lid, that's the lid. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to attach our thing, but what we're going to do first is we're going to I'm going to show you that thing. Oh, something's trapped in my drawer and it won't close. This is the label that I made for it. Now, I can't write, so I used a rubbing to give it. So I tried to use a stamp, and when I was using stamps, so like these kind of letter stamps, I find that they're all wibbly wobbly. I also find that if you're doing one at a time, because sometimes you need a duplicate letter, so you know how this has got P-A-T-E-N-T and the two E's in it, you don't tend to get multiples. So what I did was I cheated. Well, I didn't really cheat. I'm going to show you the way that I worked it out. So what I did was I made it out of this punch tape stuff, you know, the stuff that we get from one of these, a Dymo thing, and I printed what I wanted it to say. I put my paper over the top of it, and I lined it up, and then I got, hopefully this will help those people that are also, excuse me, not confident about their writing. I got a pencil, and I just created a bit of a palette of pencil juice, and I rubbed my finger in it, and I put that in the right place, and then I just rubbed my finger over the top of that until I started to see an image, and then just did it a bit more, and it gives it, I think it gives it that kind of a old printed kind of look. So there you go. That's come from Burt's. And this says Burt's. So anyway, that's just a little tip. And as you can see, I used red. So I did a red label one where it said labels, and I just did the same. Well, actually, that's just coming out the same colour, but that's really what I did. So you just want to cheat, because I didn't want to use that on there, but I also didn't want it to look like, if I'd written it, it would look terrible. And if I'd stamped it, they'd all been in the wrong place and the spacing would have been terrible. So just going to put a blob of glue around this. Don't want too much glue on it because it's not holding anything other than itself. I'll pop that on there. I'm just going to have that so it sits with a nice little border around it. Oh, come on, Dave. Try and get that in the middle. Try again, Dave, with you getting it in the middle. Jobby, you had one job, Dave. Get it in the middle. There we go. That's the middle enough. Just press that down with. See how dirty my fingers are. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to just open this a little bit. So we've got this in the easeled version, and what we want to do is we want to make sure that that sits so that it's away from that fold. So when I glue it down, I'm going to glue it so you can just see the fold, but you want to obviously make sure it's in the middle. So I'm going to put a bit of glue on here. Don't need loads. Again, it's only holding itself. It doesn't need to hold anything else. It's not holding the mechanism. I'm just going to give that a bit of a squish there, and we're just going to put that so that it sits with a bit of a attempt to get it in the middle. Sorry, with a bit of a attempt to get it in the middle. That's what I wanted to do. And then when we close it, it folds down, and when we open it, it folds up. And we've made a nice little labels tray. So like I say, they stack on top of each other. It doesn't matter if you push them down because they'll spring back up again, but you need it to have that kind of spring up so that it knows which way to fold itself when you pull on it. So there we go. That's our little tray, our little easel, pop-up easel drawer. Okay, so Bert's patented. I know some people say patented, but I say patented. Bert's patented labels. I've got a nice, beautiful home. I'm just going to soften that colour just there. There we go. Cool. So there we go. I hope you like that. I hope that's something you might give a go of. I know it's a little bit more complicated, but you know, I left all the I made a mistake in it so that you can make a mistake in it, and you can then feel confident to go and make some mistakes. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you know how you can tell me that, don't you? There's one big thing that I really need every single person that's watching this that has found it interesting, amusing, enjoying, you know, whatever, to give it a thumbs up. If you've hated it and you really can't stand it, then give it a thumbs down. I'm going to shut up rambling. Thanks very much for I'd love to say I'm going to shut up rambling, but you know me, I'm never going to shut up. It's the conversation will never leave me. My last breath will be not just a breath, it'll be me talking about something. Anyway, so thank you for being around. I really do appreciate it. You are my company, you are my family, you are my friends. I love you all. I'm not going to get emotional, but I feel like I'm going to cry. So anyway, I love you all without exception until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to, and I will see you all very soon. I promise, as soon as I've got some cash, as soon as I'm able to afford it, I will buy a new chair that doesn't squeak. So I'll see you all very soon. Love to you all. You all take care of each other and yourselves, and I'll see you here next time. So mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of love, lots of hugs, and I'll see you soon. Take care, folks. See you soon. Bye. Bye.